Surprise, surprise! I'm back! Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Courtney Osborne, and I started this channel last year. My last upload from this one was like 11 months ago. I started this because like a lot of other people, I'm very just like curious and intrigued with true crime. I don't like that it happens, but I like to research cases, and like I studied some psychology in college, so it's just kind of like interesting to me. And you may or may not recognize me if you're in like the Tumblr craft community. I also have another channel, my main channel, called Courtney's Customs, and I do like Tumblr tutorials there. So I had mentioned in a video like a year ago that I wanted to start like a true crime channel, and everybody was like, yeah, do it, like we'll subscribe, we'll watch. So I did, and I posted 3 videos, and I was like, y'all, this is hard. Like, I'm trying to run this channel, I'm trying to do research and try to upload consistently on this channel, and I got 3 videos in and I was like, I can't do it. But the video that I talked about that in on my first channel like has been getting more views and stuff, and people are commenting like, did you ever start that channel? Like, we want to watch some videos. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a second shot. I can do this. I can upload 1 video a week. So the last 3 days I've been doing some research on this case, and I think I'm ready to go. So y'all buckle up. This is absolutely insane. Also, I don't know if I'm going to keep this going as like crime and tumblers kind of thing, because it's like if I'm working on tumblers, I'm usually doing it for a video, so I can't work on tumblers and then do this. So I might just like talk about it. Let me know what you guys think. Do you want me to like do some kind of work? Do you want me to just like talk to y'all? Let me know down in the comments like if it even matters. So today we are talking about Jodi Arias. Have you heard of her? I feel like this, like when it happened, was one of those like huge media frenzy cases. Like it was talked about all over, I don't know about all over the world, but like at least all over the US. Like this is a huge case. It's absolutely insane. It's got love and lust and jealousy and murder, and like it's all over the place. So if you see me looking down, I've got like my laptop up here. I've got several pages of notes that I've taken. So like I can't memorize it all, I'm sorry. So I'm just going to be looking down and reading a little bit. So Jodi Arias, she was born on July 9th, 1980 in Salinas, California. I hope I'm saying that right. Her parents were William and Sandra Arias, and from everything that I've read and researched, it seemed like by all accounts she had a pretty normal childhood. Even one of Jodi's friends from high school, her name was Tina Ross, she said that Jodi was like a good girl, like the goody two-shoes kind of girl. And then even during an interview like way later on, Jodi stated that she had like almost an ideal childhood. But then, see, and this is the thing with Jodi, like her story, like she says this and then she says something else. So she says that she has an she says that she has an ideal childhood, okay? And then in early testimony, she says that she suffered a lot of physical abuse growing up, and then like the older that she got, the worse that the beatings would get. And she even claimed that her mom carried a wooden spoon in her purse like at all times, just in case a punishment was needed. So it's like, were you abused? Did you have a great childhood? Like, I don't see how you can like go back and forth between those two. It was either you had a horrible childhood or you had a great childhood. Like, which one? So of course her parents deny like all of these claims, so nobody is really going to know the truth except for Jodi and her parents. However, her parents do claim that in her teenage years she was very mentally unstable, so much so that she dropped out of high school in her junior year to move in with like her on again off again boyfriend. So it wasn't like a super stable place to be because they weren't a stable relationship. And Jodi was the kind of person that like if something was going wrong, or if she was in like a argument or just a disagreement with somebody, she would fly off the handle. She would like throw things and scream and holler and just be absolutely insane. So I mean, it got so bad that like her friends would even call Jodi's mom in the middle of the night and be like, hey, like she's flown off the handle again, we don't know what to do, like you need to get her some help. Clinical psychologist Dr. Dale Archer admits that he's never actually done like a true psychological evaluation on Jodi, but a lot of psychologists were like really quick to jump at diagnosing her with borderline personality disorder. But Dr. Archer says that like you can't diagnose somebody that you've never even met. Like these psychologists were just like reading about the reports and like about the crime and everything, and they were like borderline personality disorder, that's it. But Dr. Archer says, you know, it takes a lot of time and you can't just like slap a label on somebody, especially if you've never even met them in person. But it does sound like, unfortunately, Jodi did have some sort of mental illness that went untreated. It's like starting in her teen years. So now we're going to talk about the victim, and his name is Travis Alexander. Travis was born on July 28th, 1977 in Riverside, California. His parents, Gary and Pamela Alexander, they were not good parents. They were addicted to drugs. They were very physically abusive. They kind of left the kids to just like fend for themselves. You know, they didn't get regular baths. The house was dirty. They were very poor. And so Travis would unfortunately get like really teased and bullied at school. So the poor kid couldn't catch a break. He would be physically abused and neglected at home, and then he would go to school and he couldn't even catch a break. He would get bullied there. He didn't have any friends. So at the age of 11, Travis moved in with his paternal grandparents. And then after Travis's father's death in July of 1997, Travis's 7 other siblings also moved in with their paternal grandparents, and they all lived together. So Travis's grandparents were of the Mormon faith, and they were like very, very dedicated to it. So they would always bring the children with them to church. And this was a place that Travis finally felt accepted. He felt safe. He felt like he had a purpose. So he took the Mormon faith very seriously as well. And he just like dove right in, and he was very dedicated as well. So even growing up into his adulthood, Travis stayed loyal to the Mormon faith, and this is when he moves to Mesa, Arizona. And I guess he moved here because Mesa, Arizona is known for the Mormon faith. I guess there's just like maybe like a lot of it there. So while Travis is living in Mesa, Arizona, he gets a job for prepaid legal services, which is like a multi-level marketing, like the MLM kind of job. But I guess he was really, really good at it. He was like really climbing the ladder, and he loved it there. He was even like a spokesperson at conferences, so he was just like really, really good at this prepaid legal thing. So when Travis was 29 years old, he was speaking at a conference for prepaid legal in Las Vegas, Nevada. And around this same time, Jodi got wind of this prepaid legal services, and she was wanting to get another job because her boss at her current job was like, hey, like, here's a little side gig. I can tell it, like, there's a lot of money in it. It's a multi-level marketing kind of thing. You can climb the ladder. So she was like, heck yeah, like, I want to make some more money. Let's go to this conference. So Jodi attends the same conference that Travis was speaking at in Las Vegas, Nevada. And this would be the first time that they meet. Jodi was 26, Travis was 29, and it was like as soon as they locked eyes, it was like a love at first sight kind of thing. Witnesses say there was obvious chemistry between the two, and Travis was almost 30, so I guess if you are, you know, 29, 30 years old and you're a Mormon and you are not married yet, like, that is very, very rare. So people were like, hey, like, we think that you should get with Jodi. We think that, you know, she's very beautiful. She's young. She wants to join this company. Like, take your shot. So that same night, Travis asked Jodi out to dinner, and I guess it was like this really, really formal event that was only for like the higher ups of the company. And of course, Jodi just wasn't there yet, but Travis still invited her to be like his date. So he asked if, like, you know, do you have a dress, anything like that you can wear? This is very formal. And of course she says, you know, I wasn't expecting this, so no, I don't have a dress. And he was like, hang on, girl, I got you. So he gets with his friend that's also there at the company that brought his wife, and his wife just happened to have like an extra dress that fit Jodi, so she wore that. And I guess they just had like an amazing night together, and they just were instantly falling in love with each other. Within a few days, Jodi was telling his friends, like, I met the girl that I'm going to marry. Which is really, really sad whenever you know Travis's fate, because he just like really fell hard for this girl, and then what happens. So after a few days, the conference ends and they kind of like go their separate ways. Jodi goes home to California and Travis goes home to Arizona. The couple stayed in contact though, and they wanted to give the long distance thing a try. They would, as often as possible, like every weekend, one of them would make the drive to California or to Arizona to meet up with each other and just to spend as much time together as they possibly could. So when I tell me if I'm wrong, but if you are of the Mormon faith, premarital sex is like a huge no-no. Like, you do not do that. You have to be married before you can do any type of sexual activity like that. But Travis very quickly gave in to Jodi. They did end up having a lot of sex. Premarital sex, which is a huge no-no in the Mormon faith, like I said. So I guess maybe after a while of this, like, Travis was like, oh shit, like, I'm not supposed to be doing this. So he kind of like really starts to push the Mormon faith onto Jodi. So he wants to try to convert her, and I don't know if he was like wanting to like marry her really quickly after converting her, but after only 2 months of dating, he was able to convert her into the Mormon religion, and he was actually the one to baptize her. He baptized her into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and this happened on November 26th, 2006. And they still, at this point, they didn't like move in together or anything. They were still really making the long distance relationship thing work. Jodi said that she always loved how it was like an adventure when they would get together, and Travis was really funny, and she just really loved being around him. But I think she was just like that stage 5 clinger kind of girl. After about 5 or 6 months of dating, things became very, very toxic. Even Travis's friends were like, dude, you need to like take a step back, look at the situation, look at her attitude. I guess she would follow him around everywhere. Like, she was his shadow. If he was like talking to his friends and like laughing, like, she would get like all jealous because like he was laughing with them and not with her. Like, why do you need to laugh with them? You should be laughing with me. And especially if Travis was talking to like another female, it could be work related or whatever, she was not having that. So even Travis's friends, like one of his friends made a joke, maybe not so much a joke, could have been serious, but he was like, dude, this is a quote. He said, I'm worried we're going to find you chopped up in a freezer. So in June of 2007, I guess something finally slapped Travis in the face, and he was like, oh my god, like, this girl's crazy, I want nothing to do with her. He said he did not see any sort of like wife material, so they broke up. But even though the two were separated, they would still meet, they would hook up, they would have sex, which it's like, if the relationship is toxic and you guys break up, like, that's never a good thing to do. Like, I'm not one to like give relationship advice to complete strangers over the internet, but oh my gosh, don't do it, don't do it. So in December of 2007, Travis decided, you know, okay, enough is enough, it's time to move on. So he starts dating other women. Now, as you can imagine, this infuriated Jodi. She was not about to let this happen. She was so obsessed with Travis, it was kind of like, if I can't have him, no one can kind of thing, which is really scary. One morning, Travis walked out to his car. I don't know, maybe he was going to work, maybe he was just going somewhere, I don't know. But he finds that the tires on his car have been slashed. Wonder who did that. Of course, he expected it to be Jodi. He calls the police, makes a report, but nothing really comes of it. Now, Travis's new girlfriend, her name was Lisa Andrews. She would receive like anonymous, very threatening emails, and of course, like, nobody could prove that it was Jodi, but everybody kind of knew that it was. Just like a small tidbit of one of the emails, it says, quote, you are a shameful whore. Your heavenly father must be deeply ashamed of the whoredoms you've committed with that insidious man. If you let him stay in your bed one more time or even sleep under the same roof as him, you will be giving the appearance of evil. Jodi would also just like randomly show up at Travis's house unannounced, which is super creepy, especially if it's like he already has another girlfriend. Like, girl, leave him alone. She even went as far as moving from her home in California to the same neighborhood that Travis lived in, and she didn't even tell him that she was moving. It was just like, oh, hey, surprise, I'm your neighbor now. I don't know if they were neighbors, but she did live like very, very close to Travis. Travis was fed up at this point. He said that Jodi did not give him any privacy, and he allegedly told her to just leave him alone, stay out of his life forever. He actually sent her a text, and this is a direct quote. It says, you are denying me human right of privacy countless times. You have a lot of freaking nerve. So Jodi moves on, and she starts dating a man named Ryan Burns, and she met Ryan in the prepaid legal services, the MLM company that I was talking about in the beginning. So this Ryan guy, he lives in Utah, so it's a pretty far drive, another long distance relationship kind of thing. So on June 2nd, 2008, Jodi picks up a rental car, and she was going to travel to Utah to see her new boyfriend, Ryan. She was really excited to make a little road trip and just like probably like clear her head and just go for this long drive to see this new guy. But before she goes to see her boyfriend, she stops at Travis's house where they have sex. Jodi also had this like little digital camera. I don't know if it was hers or Travis's, but they took explicit photos of each other, and it was just like this whole big thing before she went on her little road trip. Now on June 4th, Travis missed a really important phone call. It was like a work meeting, and this was not like him at all, so this automatically starts raising some red flags. And then the following day, Jodi meets up with her boyfriend Ryan in Salt Lake City, Utah, and they attend some business meetings, like conferences. And Ryan stated later that he noticed that when Jodi got there, she used to have like this bright blonde hair, and when she got there it was brown. And he noticed it, but he didn't say anything because like girls change their hair color all the time. I've had blonde hair, I've had brown hair, I even had some pink hair my junior year of high school. It was wild. I went through something, I don't even know what. Ryan also stated that he noticed that she had some cuts on her hands. She claimed that the cuts were from making margaritas at work. I guess she like cut her hands on glasses or something, but I guess there's not even a Margaritaville in the area that Jodi said that she was like working at a Margaritaville. She actually worked at a different restaurant, which, I mean, if you work at a restaurant, why do you have to lie and change the name of the restaurant? Like, why don't you just say, yeah, I work at this restaurant and I cut my hand? She just cannot stop lying. So the conference is over, the weekend or the few days, whatever it was that she spent with Ryan. It went great. She returns the rental car, and the people at the rent-a-car actually stated that the car was missing its floor mats when Jodi returned it, and there were some red stains on the front seat. But it could not be verified if the car even had floor mats in it, like when Jodi picked it up or not, and the red stains couldn't be analyzed to see what it was because Jodi like really deep cleaned the car before she brought it back. So June 9th rolls around, and Travis's friends can't get a hold of him, and they're getting really worried. You know, they haven't seen him for a few days, but they thought, okay, like maybe he left early for this work-related trip that he was taking. He was supposed to be going to Cancun for a work conference, and he was supposed to be going with this other female friend, but when they get in touch with this friend, I guess they were actually supposed to leave that following day, and she couldn't get a hold of Travis. I guess she was probably just getting a hold of him to talk about the trip, to like confirm a time that they were leaving, but she couldn't even get a hold of him. So that tells his friends that like, no, he hasn't left already. He's still here, so like, where the hell is he? So the group of Travis's friends decide to go to Travis's house, and they were able to get into his home. They're looking around, you know, they can't find him, and then they start to walk towards the master bedroom where they start to see like blood on the carpets and blood on the wall. So obviously this is not a good sign. A large pool of blood was leading to the master bathroom, and unfortunately they find Travis Alexander's body in the stand-up shower, and he's dead. And it is very, very clear that he is dead. So of course everyone's panicking, everyone's freaking out. They call 911. 911 operator tells everybody to get out of the house. They ask if Travis was suicidal, was there anybody that was like against him, angry with him, that would want to hurt him, and everybody automatically says Jodi Arias. They tell the police that Jodi was extremely obsessed with Travis, that he had his tires slashed because of her. She would randomly show up unannounced at his house. She would hack into his email, his Facebook account. So police arrive, and the scene is absolutely brutal. So they're looking around, and they find a digital camera that is in the washing machine, and it looks like it has went through like a rinse cycle, like a whole wash cycle. Fortunately, police were able to restore it and like uncover the photos, and that's where they see the explicit photos that Travis and Jodi had taken of each other before she had made her trip to Utah to see Ryan. Some of the photos, like the first amount of photos, were taken on June 4th at about 1:40 p.m. and then the last amount of photos were taken June 4th at around 5:30 p.m. And these last photos were of Travis in the shower, and he was like kind of clearly like posing for the camera, trying to be sexy. And then the last photo kind of looks like that the camera is falling and Travis is not like completely standing up in the shower anymore. It looks like maybe he might be like leaning down, or he might be falling as well. But then you can also see some blood. So upon further investigation, it was found that Travis was stabbed 27 to 29 times. He was shot in the head, and his throat was slashed. A medical examiner named Kevin Horn, he would later testify and say that Travis's carotid artery, jugular vein, and trachea had all been slashed. So it was like almost like halfway decapitated. The medical examiner also testified that Travis was probably dead already by the time he was shot in the head. A .25 caliber shell casing was also found at the scene, and the bullet was lodged in Travis's cheek. So now remember, it was a .25 caliber shell casing. Now get this, on May 28th, so like a few days prior, Jodi's grandparents, their house had been burglarized, and the only thing that was taken was a .25 caliber gun. So of course everybody and their mother is saying that it's Jodi. Travis's friend again said that Jodi was like completely obsessed with him. One of his close friends said she wouldn't let him go. Whenever he would try to like completely break it off and sever all ties, she would threaten that she was going to kill herself. He would tell her that like he didn't want anything to do with her, and then she would just like randomly show up at his house. And then a quote from one of Travis's friends says, "We knew it was her. We didn't want it to be, but we just knew it was." So Jodi's first interview was a very brief like phone interview, and this was done by an investigator that was on scene. He stepped away really quickly, was able to get a hold of Jodi, and like I said, it was very brief. Jodi stated that like, yes, they did date, but they broke up. She said they broke up because of jealousy, and the jealousy went like both ways between her and Travis. She said she knew Travis was supposed to go on this Cancun trip, so she emailed him on June 8th because she wanted to stay in his house while he was gone, which is weird, but whatever. So she emails him on June 8th to ask if she could stay. She never gets a response, obviously, because she freaking murdered him. She claims that she found out about Travis's death from a friend that called her and told her what was going on. On June 16th, Jodi was contacted by an investigator asking if she would be willing to come in and donate like some DNA, do some fingerprints, and she said that she was in town for Travis's memorial service and she was leaving the next day, but she would try to come in. So of course, multiple people are getting interviewed, you know, Travis's friends, other women that he may have been involved with in the past, and they're all willing to do like follow-up interviews and, you know, do the fingerprints and the DNA, but Jodi refused to do any sort of follow-up interview, do anything without an attorney present, which, like, okay, I get it, like, you want to have an attorney if you think you're getting accused of something, but like everybody else was willing to do it and she wasn't, so it was kind of like sketchy. So finally on July 15th, Jodi was investigated for several hours. Not investigated, interrogated is the right word. So at first she swears up and down that she wasn't even in the same state the time that Travis was murdered, because remember, she took that trip to Utah to see Ryan. Of course, the investigator does not buy her story one bit, and he lets her know that, hey, listen, there was a bloody handprint found at the scene that matches your DNA. She claims like, no, you know, my fingerprints are going to be all over that house. You got to think we dated for several months. But then the investigator's like, no, the blood on the handprint was both your blood and Travis's blood mixed. And of course, Jodi comes up with some other explanation. She says that she was watching Travis's dog at his house one time and cut herself, so like maybe that's how her blood ended up there. She says this is a direct quote, which is like kind of spine-chilling. She says, quote, "There was no reason I would ever want to hurt him. If I was going to try to kill somebody, I would use gloves. I've got plenty of them." So no matter how much evidence was presented to her, she would just deny. And several times the detective asks her, quote, "Why won't you admit it? You were there. Quit playing this game." So after several hours, the detective is like, listen, we have all the evidence we need. This is over. It's done. You're done. He tells Jodi that she's going to be booked and sent to the local jail for a little while. And this is her response, okay? If you were told that you were going to be arrested and put in jail, I really hope you wouldn't say this. She says, and quote, "This is a really shallow question and it's going to reveal how shallow I am." And she's like weeping and crying when she says this. "Before they book me, can I clean myself up a little bit?" Bitch! The detective is like, no, you're going to be booked just as you are. So he walks out, and of course there's a camera rolling, and she literally goes like this. Like, she like flips her hair back and she says, "You could have at least done your makeup, Jodi. Gosh." So she's waiting in this room for a while, and I don't know if they were like really truly like off doing like paperwork or just getting things ready, or if they were just wanting to watch her, because they leave her alone for a little while and she does some really weird shit. She starts looking through the trash. I don't know what the hell she was looking for, but she's looking through the trash. And then she does a headstand, like moves the chairs out of the way and does a straight up headstand like up against the wall. And she sings "Oh Holy Night." Jodi claims that she did the headstand because she knows that this is the last time she's going to see carpet, so she does a headstand. Like, I don't know what, I don't even know. I don't know. During Jodi's trial, she stood by the fact that she killed Travis in self-defense. She claims while they were in the shower and they were taking the explicit photos, she dropped the camera and this like triggered Travis and he was infuriated and he begins to attack her. She claims that he picked her up and slammed her onto the tile floor and was like screaming at her. Jodi ran to his closet to get away from him, and like I guess she knew that he kept a gun up at the top of the closet, so she grabs the gun and she's pointing it at him, and she's thinking like maybe this is going to get him to stop if I'm standing here pointing a gun at him. She claims that even though she was pointing a gun, he just kept running at her, and she describes him as being like a linebacker. He got down low, grabbed her waist, and was like lunging at her, and the gun went off. This is Jodi's story. She claims, I didn't mean to shoot. I didn't even know that I was like holding onto the trigger. But I mean, she's saying that all of this is self-defense, but 29 stab wounds, a slit throat, and a gunshot to the head, honey, that's not self-defense. That's like a pissed off crime of passion. So in a much later interview, Jodi actually says, you know, she claims that she was lying about the whole self-defense thing. And she says, quote, the main reason for lying is because I was very ashamed of what happened. It's not something I ever imagined doing. It's not the kind of person I was. It was just shameful. I was also very scared of what might happen. I didn't want my family to know what I had done, and I just couldn't bring myself to say that I did it. She also says, from day one, there was a part of me that always wanted to tell the truth, but I didn't dare do that. I would rather have gone to my grave than admit I had done something like that. Finally, after several trials and mistrials and like rescheduling stuff, Jodi Arias was convicted of first-degree murder on May 8th, 2013, and she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And that is the case of Jodi Arias. I don't even know what to say. She should have just left him alone, let him do his thing. You know, they got together, it didn't work out, great. Bye. But instead, she stalked him and she was extremely obsessed with him, and it ended in his murder. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments, and let me know if you guys want me to continue doing this. This is something that I am just curious about and interested in, so I guess, you know, I've tried doing this about a year ago. It seemed like it was going pretty well, but I just quit doing it, so I'm experimenting with it again, so let me know what you guys think. I'm going to try to upload weekly on Tuesdays on this channel, and then I also, of course, upload on my main channel. I try to do it twice a week if you're also interested in like the Tumblr and craft kind of thing. Two completely different channels, like they don't even correspond together, but whatever. That's it, guys. Let me know what you think, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!